July 11th, 2020. Well, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this, so I think this subject needs to be covered because this needs to prepare you for what could happen during a nuclear event. Okay, so this is from ready.gov, nuclear explosion. I'll give you the link below in the box. Hit the like and subscribe, thumbs up. Nuclear explosions can cause significant damage and casualties from blast, heat, and radiation, but you can keep your family safe by knowing what to do and being prepared if it occurs. And I'm not going to go over a nuclear weapon. First thing you want to do is you want to get inside. Get inside the nearest building to avoid radiation. Brick or concrete are best. Remove contaminated clothing and wipe off or wash unprotected skin if you were outside after the fallout arrived. Go to the basement or the middle of the building. Stay away from the outer walls and roof. That means try to get down to the basement in the center of it as much as possible if you have a basement. If not, maybe a bathroom indoors. Stay inside. Stay inside for 24 hours unless local authorities provide other instructions. Families should stay where they are inside. Reunite later to avoid exposure to dangerous radiation. Keep your pets inside. Stay tuned. Tune in to any media available for official information such as when it is safe to exit and where you should go. Battery-operated and hand-crank radios will function after nuclear detonation. Cell phone, text messaging, TV, and internet services may be disrupted or unavailable. How to stay safe in an event of a nuclear explosion. Now, another thing is, too, don't be going drinking no water. If you get inside and there's nuclear explosion, before the fallout arrives, I suggest you fill any container you can with water. Drinking water as fast as possible. Fill the tub up. If you got a tub liner, that's a great idea. Plastic bottles, whatever you got. Buckets, because you're going to need that water. And also, you might want to move some food that you can easily cook on a little stove, little gas stove. I have one that uses those little propane things that's for camping. I could cook my meals in there, so I would get some easy to prepare dried meals that you could rip open if they haven't been exposed yet. And so you stay away from the walls, people, away from the walls. Prepare now. Identify shelter locations. Identify the best shelter location near where you will spend a lot of time, such as a home, work, or in school. The best locations are underground and in the middle of larger buildings. While commuting, identify appropriate shelters to seek in the event of a detonation. Outdoors. If you're caught outdoors, vehicles and mobile homes do not provide adequate shelter. Look for basements or the center of a large multi-story building. Make sure you have an emergency supply kit for places you frequent and may have to stay for 24 hours. It should include bottled water, packaged food, emergency medicines, and hand crank battery, power radio, and a flashlight and extra batteries for essential items. If possible, store supplies for 3 or more days. You might want to store for 3 months. You might be stuck there that long. Another thing you want to do is you want to tape up all the windows with plastic. Anything you can to seal up those windows. Because they do have amount, in any house, there's an amount of seepage between the windows and the wall. And radiation can get in that way also. So you need to tape up the windows as much as possible with plastic or tape or whatever you got. If you are outdoors when the detonation begins, take cover from the blast behind anything that might offer protection. Lie flat down to protect exposed skin from heat and flying debris. If you are in a vehicle, stop safely and duck down within the vehicle. Don't go out and get in a ditch because you'll just get followed on you when it arrives. And it's usually about 10 minutes. After the shockwave passes, get inside the nearest best shelter location for protection from potential fallout. You will have 10 minutes or more to find an adequate shelter. So once you go through the shock, you got about 10 minutes, give or take, to find somewhere to hold up while the radiation levels change because they're going to be high. Be inside before the fallout arrives. The highest outdoor radiation levels from fallout occur immediately after the fallout arrives and then increases with time. Stay tuned for an updated instruction from emergency response officials. Okay. If advised to evacuate, listen for information about routes, shelters, and procedures. If you have been evacuated, do not return until you are told to do so and it's safe by local officials. Be safe after. Immediately after you are inside shelter, you may have been outside after the fallout. Remove outer layers of clothing because they'll have radiation on them and exposed skin. Take a shower if you can. Shower, take anything that's been exposed after you've taken your clothes off. If you can't do that, use a wipe or a clean wet cloth to wipe any skin and hair that wasn't covered during the fallout. Okay, so this is after the fallout has arrived. Clean any pets that were outside after the fallout. Gently brush your pet's coat to remove any fallout particles and wash your pet with soap and water if available. It is safe to eat and drink packaged food items or items that were inside the building. Do not consume food or liquids that were outside uncovered and may be contaminated by fallout. Okay, so yeah, but also your food's going to be exposed to the radiation if it's close to a wall, okay? Like your kitchens are usually close to a wall, and if you have any food next to that wall, well, you probably want to pull that food as much as possible, put it to the center of the building to help keep from getting radiation. Okay. If you are sick and injured, listen for instructions on how to get to where medical attention when the authorities tell you it's safe. Okay, well, if you're out and you think you got exposed, you might want to get yourself some potassium iodide. It's a salt. Potassium iodide is a salt of a stable, not radioactive iodine that can help block radioactive iodine from being absorbed by the thyroid gland, thus preventing this gland from radiation injury. The thyroid gland is part of the body that is the most sensitive to radioactive iodine. And you can get the little tablets and stuff, and if you don't have those in your prepper bag already, you should have those already. Okay? Now, hazards related to nuclear explosions. A bright flash can cause temporary blindness for less than a minute. So if you're looking into the blast, you could go blind. Blast wave can cause death, injury, and damage to structures several miles out from the blast. Radiation can damage cells of the body. Large exposure can cause radiation sickness. That's what the potassium iodide helps, is keep you from getting sick from radiation sickness. Fire and heat can cause death, burn injuries, and damage to structures several miles out. Electromagnetic pulse and EMP, especially if it's a high altitude electromagnetic pulse, which is called HEMP, H-E-M-P, can cause damage, electrical power equipment, and electronics several miles out. The detonation can cause temporary disruptions. It can also take out the grid. Fallout is radioactive, visible dirt and debris raining down from several miles up that can cause sickness to those who are outside. Now there's a bunch of links down here for the nuclear explosion information sheet. It's PDF. Download the FEMA app. I don't know. Most people don't like FEMA anyway. Centers for Disease Control has a link. Health and Human Services. And then there's a couple of videos, one in English and one in Spanish. Get inside, stay tuned video. And then there's some EPA stuff here. So this is their video right here. And I'm going to go ahead and break the rules and play it. Because there's nothing like visuals, in my opinion. Okay. So, one thing I want to make a stress point is that even though you don't plan on bugging out, a bug out bag with all these goodies that you need, like a radio, a flashlight, and everything, should be readily in your hand, somewhere in your car. When you go somewhere, you should have one in your car. You should have one for each person, and you should have them at home too, because it has everything you need in it. You need to pack a proper bug out bag with everything you're going to need to survive. Because if even if you're not leaving your home, that bug out bag may save your life. That's where you're going to keep your medical kits, your potassium iodine, um, your cord stuff, anything you need. You may need to take one of those little foil blankets, those little mylar sheets, the emergency blankets. You may need to use that to shore up your house, or to shore up a room, or to add extra protection to stay in. You might need it as a shelter. So I'll leave this link here, and the link to the video, and a link to the CDC about potassium iodide. Now, I've done several other videos where I've shown this stuff, and the stuff I buy for bug out bags, and there's several bug out bag videos on the internet. So I don't really see the thing of doing that. That would just be repeating things. But what I'm saying is that I talk to people all the time on the internet. They're showing, well, if there's going to be a nuclear explosion drop, then all the radios will be out, and my TV and my car won't work, and everything else, my cell phones will be dead. Yeah, well, what does that matter when a bomb goes off? A nuclear explosion happens. You need to think about what you need to do when it does happen. Of course the power is going to go out if it's near you. Power going out is just a part of what happens with a nuclear explosion. It can take out the grid. And you need to know what to do for those first few days. Because if you don't, if you didn't know that when the fallout starts 10 minutes later after the blast, and you're standing out there getting all kinds of exposure to radiation, you ain't going to live long. Hey, if you did get exposed, the potassium iodine is going to save you. If you start feeling sick while you're inside your house, even if you weren't exposed to the blast and you weren't exposed to the fallout, start taking your potassium iodine right away. Follow the directions on the box. I'm not a doctor. I see a lot of people talking about, oh, what if this happens, what if that happens? And they're not really talking about the solutions of what you should do if there is an explosion. That's all there is to it, folks. That's all there is to it. Be prepared. Don't be caught outside unless you absolutely have no other choice. Be prepared and follow these steps, or the fallout might get you and the radiation will kill you. You've been warned.